Lake Baikal stretches across southern Siberia, and it contains enough water to exceed all of the Great Lakes combined. It's so large, it's said to be a leading candidate for Earth's next ocean as it continues to grow. For now, its freshwater shores and depths are home to a variety of plants and animals. But what happens when this immense inland sea freezes over with 6 feet of ice? The winter always requires the best of every species. But in this unique ecosystem, one marine mammal uses persistence and ingenuity to thrive in this otherwise inhospitable season. But that's what it takes to survive freezing temperatures in life, death, and taxonomy. Welcome back to Life, Death, and Taxonomy. It's your 30 minutes of interesting animal info, and I'm Joe.
I'm Carlos.
And today we're talking about a seal that can play the saxophone, but not really, and there's not much more on that later.
He can play the saxophone. I totally believe that.
Well, there's a meme of a seal like spinning around in a pool playing a saxophone, and that is the Baikal seal, which is what we're talking about today.
Did you watch the video?
There's like some Russian seals, and they're training them.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely blowing into that plastic saxophone.
I don't think so. I think they're like it's like a lip sync thing with a track.
It's not on tune and it's not on rhythm. It's just
I watched a video with a really weird bad song, and it definitely was a track playing. Like there was a full instrument, some of which were not featured with seal musicians.
Oh yeah, I thought that was just like audio cues for them to just spin around and play.
Stranger things have happened.
Strange things are happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're talking about the Baikal seal. I think most would agree that it's Baikal, like awe, instead of Baikal. Or Baikal.
Baikal W. Smith.
Baikal Bublé. Which actually kind of works into the major fact that we're talking later on. But here's some nicknames. Actually, we call it the Baikal seal, but the locals in the area call it the Nerpa, which is also its plural form. So like sheep. So, you have one Nerpa, a group of Nerpa, I Nerpa, he, she, Nerpa. Yeah. So I'll probably call it the Nerpa just because it's fun. But we'll also call it the chubby water pupper and the Baikal blubber bubble buddy.
Stop SpongeBob referencing.
That's 2 in a row. So let's taxonomize this, shall we? It is in the name of the show, so we can't get by without it. It's in a kingdom. You may know it, you may love it, but you're definitely in it. And that kingdom is the one and only Animalia. Phylum is Chordata. Class is Mammalia. The order is Carnivora, because this thing eats other animals. And it's a mammal. So if you're a mammal and you eat other animals, you are in the order Carnivora. But also apparently you get to be in the order Carnivora if you're a mammal that eats only fruit, like the kinkajou. The clade is Pinnipeda, which is seal-like animals. Basically carnivorous, fin-footed, semi-aquatic mammals, including walruses, sea lions, and elephant seals and true seals, which true seals are only in the family Phocidae. So kind of like we call a lot of things bugs that aren't actually bugs. You might look at a sea lion and call it a seal when it's not a true seal. The only true seals are earless, meaning they don't. I mean, they have ears. They have ways of listening to things, but
No
they're
external ears.
yeah, they're just holes in their head. So yeah, true seals are earless seals, and they are in the family Phocidae. And the genus for the Nerpa is Pusa, Pusa, and the species is Siberica. So Pusa siberica is the binomial nomenclature for the Baikal seal. And since we're in the business of naming things, it's time for my favorite part of the show. And that part of the show is Critter Groups. The part of the show where I ask you, Joe, a question, and that question is the same every time. What is the name of a group of this animal? What is the term of venery for this animal or collective noun? So we're going to do seals. I don't think we've done seals before, so that's good. So what would you say if you saw a group, just seals in general, but you could also say the same thing for Nerpa. If you saw a group of Nerpa, would you say, hey, look at that? A, pod of Nerpa? Would you say B, a plump of Nerpa? Would you say C, a pack of Nerpa? Or D, a battalion of Nerpa?
I'm going to go with a pack. Final answer.
Final answer. Incorrect. The answer was plump.
Whelp?
I thought that would stump you just because that definitely looks like something that I would put in there.
Yeah, that's exactly what my thought process was.
And pod is already reserved for cetaceans.
It was really... my thought process was actually like, I hate plump so much. I have to give the powers that be the benefit of the doubt and just go with something that makes more sense. And, nope, it's the worst. And, okay.
I like plump. It works. It conjures up a specific connotation that, like chubby or fat wouldn't quite do it.
But
plump
it doesn't.
Plump is nice. It's good. It's like that person is festively plump.
But it doesn't make me think about a group of things.
That's true. A clump. That would.
That's a group of Eddie Murphy characters.
So let's talk about what this looks like. Okay, what does our little chubby water pupper look like? So the Nerpa is pretty sealish. I mean, it's your garden variety seal in terms of its overall appearance. It's got a large, plump, oblong body. It's got bifurcated flippers instead of hind legs, long pectoral flippers up near its chest for steering in the water. It has an absolutely adorable puppy face with huge black eyes, a little button nose, and puffy cheeks with long whiskers coming out. It's like everything that is cute about dogs, right there. And I know
I like how dogs have the bifurcated flippers.
Yeah, mostly the face. But if my dog Yoshi had bifurcated flippers, he would most certainly be a seal.
No, he'd be more like a sea lion because he has ears.
Oh, that's true. Seals actually have short, thick claws on the ends of their flippers, and that helps them, grip onto things and get around on land or on floating chunks of ice. As pups, and they are called pups as babies, which is even cuter. They have white fur and little black eyebrow tufts. And just look up a picture of these guys. It's great. It'll make your day. As adults, however, their fur is black or sometimes gray, black with gray on the back, and it becomes brownish as the coat gets worn down. And then eventually the Nerpa needs to molt its fur and don a new coat. But some rare specimens have spotted coats, kind of like a little leopard.
Or like a leopard seal.
True. But overall, the Nerpa is one of the smallest true seals. And males and females actually are pretty similar in size and appearance. So they have very little sexual dimorphism, which is the difference between males and females within a species. But how do they compare to other seals? Or I imagine, how do they compare to Lake Baikal, which I imagine will be the measure up situation.
You're starting off incorrect, but let's
Oh.
get into the measure up, the beloved segment, the official listener's favorite part of the show. The part of the show when we present the animal size and dimensions in relatable terms through a quiz that's fun for the whole family. It's also part of the show that's introduced by you when you send an audio of yourself saying, singing, or chittering the words measure up or maybe barking. Send it into ldtaxonomy@gmail.com. We have no new measure up intros this week. So we get to hear from an animal, and Carlos has to guess what it is.
Marvelous.
Without further ado, the listener's favorite part of the show.
Oh, I don't like it.
Is it?
Oh, I don't like that at all.
Is it La Llorona? No. Is it a screech owl, A? Is it B, a mountain lion? Is it C, a polecat? Or is it D, a tortoise? A tortoise.
It sounds like a kid just having the biggest meltdown.
Do you know what a polecat is?
It's just a cat that you have on the end of a stick. You tie to the end of a stick.
It's the most formidable weapon of arms. No, it is a it's a mustelid. It's kind of like a weasel or like a ferret.
Oh, okay. Most people don't know this. They think that swords were the most common weapon in medieval times, but it was actually polecats. I know nothing about polecats. It doesn't sound like a mountain lion. And what were the other options?
Screech owl and
Screech
tortoise.
Man, it would be wild if it was a tortoise. But I think they make like grunting sounds, not horrific screech sounds. Screech owl definitely seems like something you would throw in there for sure. So I'm gonna go with polecat. Final answer.
Final answer. That is incorrect. It is a mountain lion.
Yeah.
Just having a fun time in the darkness. Tortoise was in there just to be a red herring, just to attract attention.
There's no way it was a tortoise, but it would have been crazy if it was.
But yeah, mountain lion. Polecat was just in there because I knew it was something that was like, what is a polecat? Is that a cat? Is that a ferret?
What does the
that?
polecat say?
What does that say? But let's jump right into, thanks, mountain lion. Let's jump right into length. They are 1.1 to 1.4 meters, or 3 feet and 7 inches to 4 feet and 7 inches. Let's call it 4 feet. I'm feeling charitable. How many Baikal seals go into the record ice thickness of Lake Vida?
Lake Vida?
Yeah, like the newest lake from PlayStation, the makers of the PS Vita.
Sony's newest lake.
Here's a hint. Lake Vida sees the thickest non-glacial ice on Earth. The lake is located in Antarctica, and it's thick. It's thickened as meltwater collects on the frozen ice and freezes over. So it freezes over, and then more water just like runs onto it and freezes, making it thicker and thicker.
Huh. Imagine ice can get really thick. 500 feet sounds like the most thick anything's ever been. So I'm going to go with non-glacial. I'm going to say 100 feet. I mean, that's a 10-story building. It's got to be a lot. So we're going to go up with 100 feet. And this guy is 4 feet long.
Mm-hmm.
So 100 divided by 4 is 25. So we're going to have to go with 20. I know I'm wrong, but 25.
Final answer?
Final answer.
The correct answer is 22.
No. Yeah.
The ice is 27 meters or 88.6 feet thick.
Sweet.
22.15.
Get that guess down.
Okay, let's see if
I
your
almost guessed
luck carries
500.
to weight. The weight of a Baikal seal is 63 to 70 kilograms, or 139 to 154 pounds. Let's call it 154 pounds. How many of the average equipment loads that Navy SEALs carry go into the weight of a Baikal seal?
All right.
Here's a hint. A SEAL's equipment load largely depends on the mission. Extensive surveillance missions might require heavier loads. However, we're looking for the high end of the average load for a short-term mission. Typical equipment includes weapons, ammo, armor, goggles, climbing gear, and communication equipment like a radio.
I mean, radios are pretty light these days. But I imagine the rest of that's pretty heavy. So I'm pretty sure that like standard crucible run that Marines have to do is like, I think 60 pounds you have to carry. So I'm gonna go with solid 75 pounds, which means how many pounds did you say the seal was?
154.
Okay, I'm gonna go with two. Two Navy SEAL equipment loads go into the weight of this actual seal.
The correct answer is 3.85.
Wow, they don't carry a lot.
SEALs carry as much as 40 pounds on average for short-term missions. Well, like what your guess might be true for missions that require heavier equipment. Like they said, surveillance missions.
What lightweights
that require specific instruments might mean that the SEALs are carrying more.
Such lightweights there.
Sure, yeah.
What are they doing? I could do that. Give me 40 pounds. I'll climb something.
Yeah, you'll climb something, but can you also do whatever the mission is, which is probably involves swimming and climbing and running?
I saw American Sniper. No, but they are all over the world. They're spec
are.
ops. They don't necessarily like the world's most elite soldiers. So anyway, neat.
They're for special occasions.
There's spec ox.
Yeah.
Special occasion soldiers.
No, that's what James Bond is.
Oh yeah.
He's just there for special occasions.
He works for the Ministry of Special Occasions for England.
He needs to know how to order the coolest drink.
Yeah, which is a martini.
Shaken, not stirred, which I disagree.
I also disagree.
Do you have any fast facts?
Yes, I do have fast facts. So Nerpa are the only exclusive freshwater seal on Earth. Lots of seals can go in both because, they're not fish. They can go in both fresh and salt water, but Nerpa are exclusively freshwater because they only live in one place in the world. They live in Lake Baikal. They're Baikal seals, and they live in Lake Baikal, which is a massive banana-shaped freshwater lake in southeastern Russia near Mongolia. So, needless to say, it's pretty cold there, and it's very remote. But they're only found in this one spot. And in Lake Baikal, they mostly eat this oil fish called Golomyanka. I think that
sounds delicious.
Right. Or Golomyanka. Golomyanka, that sounds right. And it's only found in this lake. So there's a lot of exclusives, PlayStation exclusives here in the in Lake Vita. It's not like Vita.
Yeah.
It's like Baikal. And they'll also eat sometimes eat shrimp-like invertebrates, mollusks, isopods, and they'll also eat other fish, but 90% of their diet is this Golomyanka. They can live up to 50 years, which is a lot longer than most seals. And they're mostly solitary animals, spending most of their time miles away from other Baikal seals. However, they do congregate in plumps.
Gross.
In plumps of up to 500 in the springtime when they molt, meaning getting rid of their old coat and buying a new one, and also to mate. So whenever any pinniped, which I mentioned earlier, is seal-like animals, including walruses, whenever they leave the water and go up on land, it's called hauling out, which makes them sound like dangerous bikers. It's like, oh yeah, this seal is hauling out onto land to sleep.
All right, boys, let's catch some sun and haul out.
Let's haul out. But when they molt, Nirpa haul themselves out and don't eat or move for like several days until that molt is complete, which exposes them to hunters. Like hunters can just walk straight up to them and pick them up because they're so weak. They go into this kind of torpid state. And it also exposes them to overheating, which seems odd that in like the Siberian wilderness in like April that something could die of overheating. But the reality is that seals are they're made to live in cold water and cold climates, and because of that they are not made to live in hot ones, so they can very easily overheat. And it also has led to them being hunted a lot, but they're not in danger of being extinct. They're of least concern. On a lighter note, as we mentioned earlier, I watched a video of them painting and playing the saxophone in a Russian aquarium, and it was so heartwarming that I ran a temperature. And lastly, having and taking care of seal pups is called pupping, which is it's just that's a cute word.
That's what you spend a lot of your days doing.
Yep, I'm usually pupping. But that's all I got. Oh, Lake Baikal is, I don't know if this is going to be part of your major facts. I don't want to step on any toes, but it is the deepest lake in the world.
It sure is.
I don't have the measurements because I didn't look them up because I thought they would be part of Measure Up. But maybe you have something to say about that.
I don't have the measurements. I don't think.
I'll look really fast.
Well, okay. Well, I'll get into the major facts while we do that.
Okay.
The Baikal seal lives in, as you said, the largest lake by volume in the world. It's so big. Here's something of a measurement. It contains 22% of the world's surface freshwater. That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's the deepest lake in the world. It's also got more. It's bigger than all of the Great Lakes combined.
It has a maximum depth of 5,387 feet.
That's a lot. It's quite a bit. It's also cold in winter months, dipping below 0 degrees Fahrenheit, about minus 14 Celsius. The surface of the lake freezes for up to 5 months out of the year. And the ice can be as thick as 0.5 to 1.4 meters or 1.6 to 4.6 feet. And in these areas of special thickness, it can be up to 6 feet thick. So how does a seal live in water that is completely frozen the surface is completely frozen for nearly half the year? They rely on the water for food and protection. Their biggest predators are probably, like, besides people, is bears and other land predators. So they need to get access to that water. So while the ice is still thin, they break holes in it for easy access to the water. These holes are around 15 to 20 centimeters. And as they swim around looking for food, they need to be able to get to the surface to breathe every so often. Straying too far from an air hole can mean death. So to increase their foraging area, they will make new holes from under the ice. To do this, they breathe in air and release it underneath the ice to form a bubble. A Baikal buble, if you will. At low temperatures, the carbon dioxide dissolves from these bubbles, and oxygen from the water diffuses into the bubble. So it'll actually get more oxygen and get rid of carbon dioxide on its own. So the seals also take the bubble with them like a scuba tank, kind of like dragging it to like little divots in the ice as they go so they can return and breathe a bit. But the real magic is what happens when the bubbles are left in one spot. These bubbles can bore a hole into the ice to make a new air hole. So like this air, I guess, air pocket just kind of erodes away at this ice divot until it just creates a new air hole. And then if ice starts to like freeze again, the water starts to freeze again, then they'll just break through it, the thin ice.
I'm trying to imagine them grabbing a bubble and taking it with them.
I think they breathe it in.
Oh, they just suck it up, go to some other spot.
I've seen video. There's a video. There's some Netflix documentary where I think they actually will like breathe it partially and just like kind of move it like you're, transferring a bubble from one bubble stick to another, just using that surface tension or whatever the surface of a bubble is called.
I think that counts.
The event horizon.
It's where water meets gas. But goodness, that sounds like a terrifying existence. Just
the
like
corona, the corona of the bubble.
Is that what it's called?
I think
that's like what the edge of the sun is called.
Yeah, It's not. I don't think that's what a bubble is. But the seal pups are actually born during the winter inside little ice dens that are formed in ice domes. But they'll create little dens in the ice, and the temperature inside these dens is much warmer than the outside air, reaching up to 15 degrees warmer in Celsius. So they're like igloos, and they're warmed by the body heat of the mothers and the babies that are inside. So the babies are in there pretty much all winter, and the mother comes and goes to feed, but she's feeding her pups in the igloo. So it creates this, like they called it, a microclimate inside the igloo.
I feel like it would melt the ice, maybe, right? And then they just fall in.
Once it does in the summer, or in the spring, once spring rolls around, the ice melts and exposes these baby pups, and before they lose they're vulnerable during this time because they're still dependent on their mother, and they can't basically move from this partially exposed den, and because if they do, then the mother might not be able to find them, and they can't survive on their own. And at this point, bears can find them and eat them and stuff. So that's their vulnerable stage.
Wow. So it just sounds like this terrifying existence where you're just going from like tiny air pocket to tiny air pocket. But I bet you they can hold their breath for a while, right?
Yeah, I didn't see how long they could hold their breath, but apparently this like little scuba tank though is enough for them to be able to come and go.
So this says they can dive to depths of 1,300 feet for more than 40 minutes. That's
a fifth of the total depth of the lake, right? You said it was like 5,000 feet deep?
Yeah, about 5,300 feet deep. So it's about a quarter of the depth of the lake, or the deepest part of the lake at least. Baikal seals have 2 liters more blood than any other seal of their size, and they can stay underwater for up to 70 minutes if they're frightened. Gross. So they
apparently the lake is growing. There's a river that runs from it to the ocean, and as like the river widens and the river's waters become alive.
Not doing this again.
Well, as this lake gets bigger and bigger, once it reaches the actual ocean, it's a candidate to become the world's next ocean.
Oh, like a ocean or sea?
I know they said the documentary said ocean, but What's the difference between an ocean and a sea?
Because a sea
Is for cookie,
it's for Cookie, and Cookie is for me.
and sea is for Catwoman.
Yeah, Sparrow with a machine gun. Well, like you have like the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea, the Mediterranean. They're encapsulated by land, which I mean I guess oceans are encapsulated.
Oh, does it
by land.
require salt water to be a sea?
I don't know.
But I feel like this is bigger than certain seas. I think it's just I think what they mean is once this lake actually reaches the ocean, it would be an ocean in and of itself. But it's really thin. I don't know. I like sea better for this.
The Mediterranean is I mean has a huge surface area.
That's very true.
If that's not an ocean, then I don't know what is. I mean, I know what is: the Atlantic and Pacific, and Indian and Arctic. Well, it's an admirable aspiration. More power to it, you know.
I mean, that's too ambitious for me. I'll never be a sea.
Well, that's because you're not trying hard enough.
But that's all I got.
All right. Well, that was the Baikal seal or the Nerpa. By the way, when you get a chance, look up pictures of the Nerpa, but also look up pictures of Lake Baikal. It's amazing the way that this place freezes over, because it looks like it flash freezes in a lot of areas, and like methane bubbles get trapped underneath.
Fish get frozen.
Waves get frozen in place. This place, I mean, this looks like just one of like the natural wonders of the world. I want to go visit. If it weren't in the middle of absolutely nowhere, then I might. So with that, for you out there in Podcastia, dive deep, keep oxygen on hand, and be sure to molt in a safe, chilled area when you haul out like the Nerpa here in life, death, and taxonomy.
Howdy, LDT listeners. Did you know that Life, Death, and Taxonomy now has t-shirts? That's right, we have t-shirts and hoodies and shirts for kids. Just go to ldtaxonomy.com/taxonomy-tees and click the link, or go to teespring.com/stores/taxonomy-tees and take a look at the selection. If you find something you like, each purchase goes to support the show. But whether you partake of our taxonomic t-shirt treasure trove or not, thanks for listening and engaging.
Life, Death, and Taxonomy is my favorite in the world podcast.
I have a joke for you.
Okay, all right. I mean, there's the setup and everything.
What do you call a Baikal seal that runs out of oxygen and doesn't have a bubble to go back to?
What?
A purple Nerpa.
Oh, I knew it. That came to my brain at the instant I said what.
It's perfect. It's a perfect joke.